Hello, good evening, everyone. This is a broadcast that is coming from the platform of Nigerian Diaspora for Peter Obi. We are actually a Peter Obi support group, and we have actually followed our principle and most of his strategies to make sure that Nigeria becomes a better society and that we all are proud of our country and that we have a country that we can all say that we believe in. And one thing about our group is that we are based around the world. We have people representing this group that are based in America, based in the UK, based in Nigeria, based in Kenya, based in Canada, Mexico. And we actually believe that we do have a voice and we want to be part of what is happening in Nigeria. And so when we see a trending news or something that people are talking about, we want to come in and address it and help shape the narrative about what is happening in our country. Because collectively, we can make that change that we actually want. So this evening, with me, remember, this is the first initiative. We'll be having a lot of this discussion going forward as the campaign starts. Any issue that we feel that the narrative needs to be discussed and we need people to come together and talk about it and have this discourse, we will come together and we'll have a panelist addressing the issue. So this evening, in no particular order, I'm going to be asking our panelists to introduce themselves and give us a little bit of background about what they do and why they are passionate about this movement. So I'm going to start with Duke Oputa. Please, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Mr. Duke Oputa. It was misrepresented in the flyer as doctor. I haven't quite elevated myself to that lofty height. And I'm an economist by training and an entrepreneur through my profession over the years. I'm also a father and a grandfather. I'm passionate about Nigeria because my experience most of my life has been abroad, and part of the things that get me driving is comparing my country with the country of my residence, which is the UK. And every time you compare, you find something wanting. But through my experience as an auditor early in my life, I was able to see that solutions to most economic problems are simply down to people and institutions. And Nigeria does have people, but unfortunately don't have the institutions to help these people achieve their objectives. So I've spent the last 10, 15 years talking and broadcasting about these opportunities that we are failing to take advantage of. Quite a number of the things that we see today, people complain about today, we have spoken, not just me, a number of economists, a number of ordinary people, social scientists have spoken about these things over the years. So it's not new. There's nothing that we're facing today that has not been here for the last 20 years. So the key question is what to do in order to get us out of where we are and back on the path to proper development and progress. And so I prefer solutions to these problems, not just talk about them. And today I'm going to be trying to do exactly that.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go over to Mr. John. Can you just, give us a bit and background of who you are and what we're expecting from you today?
My name is John Alpha. I'm a medical practitioner. I live in the United Kingdom. I live in Manchester, up north, United Kingdom. I am from the Middle Belt region, if you call it north central part of Nigeria. I did part of my training in the north, and I did most of my early school years and university in the South. So I'm fairly conversant with Nigeria as an entity. I'll say I'm one of the frustrated Nigerians living abroad, passionate about what is going on in the country, and if I sometimes look through the lens of somebody who has enjoyed the provisions of good government, good leadership, and I try to project it to Nigeria. And I say to myself, these things are fairly simple to achieve if you can have just the one good leader. You know, it doesn't take millions of people to make things work well. If we have a determined, compassionate, and incorruptible leader that can make things happen, I believe that things will change for the better in Nigeria. Then comes somebody like Peter Obi, not from my part of the country, not from my geolocation, and I say to myself, how can I contribute to making this person who has a track record, who has been there and done it, and who has witnesses everywhere, in his state of origin, in business and everywhere else, how do I make my own contribution to make this thing happen, to install good leadership in Nigeria? This is simply what drives me. And in the back of my eye, I think if this doesn't happen this time around, then it may not happen in my own generation. And thinking about that just drives me, motivates me to participate in this kind of grassroots mobilization scheme, or to try and get into the minds of other people that may be sitting on the fence, or that may really not have caught the vision to make something happen in Nigeria. So that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you so much. I'm going to give the mic to Chooks for him to make his own contribution, tell us much about him and why he's here.
Good evening, guys. Thank you for this opportunity that you're giving us to participate in this grassroots activity, to make sure that the next election cycle will not be a lost opportunity for Nigeria. I'm an IT specialist by training. I was trained in the former Soviet Union. Currently, I reside in Mexico by choice. I've been looking at what has been happening to Nigeria and what we as a people, as a collective group, are living. It is something actually pitiful for the time that we are living in the 21st century. It looks as though that many countries have overcome what we are trying to achieve. People are building their nations. Nigerians for many years has been building individuals. There's a lot of things to learn around the world. That's why our principal, if I would say, His Excellency Peter Obi, when I first heard him speak, I kind of connected immediately. I said, this is what we want. Not because of his geopolitical origin, that doesn't make any sense, specifically for my the adherence onto this movement, but because I see somebody who could actually initiate a process of transformation for the whole nation. So that's why I'm here. I intend to participate alongside with special people like yourselves and many others around the globe who have actually connected to this movement. My respect to all the guys around the world and in Nigeria who are championing this process. So there are many things that can be done from IT perspective that could be very, very helpful to achieve a less corrupt government and provide a better insight into the governance and help future generations build on top of it. So that's why I'm here. Hopefully, whatever we can contribute could help. The people closest to Pio and his team to map out a blueprint for a better Nigeria. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to introduce the next panelist. Olu Sylvia, I don't know if you are there. If you can take the mic, we cannot see your picture, but please unmute yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself. Olua Sylvia.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Olua Sylvia. And I'm at home and it's dark. It's light because it's in Nigeria. So that's why my case of because I'm based in Nigeria. My name is Silva. I'm based in Nigeria. Currently, I reside in Plateau. I'm a lecturer with Federal College of Technology, States. So I moved to a school in the there. So I've been to one part of Nigeria. I've been there for some point of one reason or time for seconds maybe. So I'm these because the passion, the need that I have. I experience.
Hello, Olu. We can't really hear you very much. I think it has to do with the internet where you are. We just have to come back to you again because the voice is not that strong. Now we're going to introduce the last panelist, who is the coordinator for our group. Now remember I said that this panelist is actually brought to you by the members of Nigerian Diaspora for Peter Obi. We are an international Peter Obi support group, and we are based around the world: America, Canada, Australia, Malaysia, anywhere that you are based, and we are there. So I'm going to get the coordinator to talk about the passion and the reason before we dive into the reason why we are here. So can I get Mr. Chuks Agwacha to address us, please?
Hello, everyone. My name is Chuks Agwacha, and I reside in London, UK. I am an IT professional by trade and an entrepreneur. My journey as a Nigerian living abroad and having lived in our dear country is one that has exposed me to the knowledge of how things ought to work, how things work in other places, and what requirements there are to make them work in countries. And our country, Nigeria, is not bereft of these sort of resources needed for achieving the betterment of everybody in the country and Africa as a whole. So I see that our country has what it takes to move forward. It has what it takes to excel. It has the people, it has the materials, it has the willingness to excel. And that is the opportunity that I believe this election cycle has offered us in the person of His Excellency Peter Obi. And the effort that I see Nigerians of all walks and creeds and ethnicities putting in this election cycle really bears all the hallmark of time for change. And that is why I am so committed alongside fellow obedients all over the world to make sure that this change comes to fruition and that we set the foundation for an even greater country in Nigeria. So that is my drive. That is how I see and hope that things will pan out coming 2023. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for your contribution. Let's just, the reason why we're here is because we saw our principal in an interview, and we actually listened to him and we heard his comments. Now, if you're a Nigerian and you did not actually watch this broadcast, what we're here is to look at what was said and kind of like think about what could have been said or what we Nigerians wanted to hear. Now, it's not really about us, it's about looking at the policies and trying to direct the discourse in a better way. So we're just going to go straight to, I have somebody else joining us. I don't know who the person is, but we'll try to get the person in because we are here because of this reason. And anyone that have any opinion or anything to say about this, we want to hear them. We want them to come and talk about what they feel about this discussion. And there are a lot of people making side talks about this, and we want them to come and actually have their own opinion, and we will listen to them, and then we can go back and make those policy decisions and talk to the principal, and people that have links to the principal can actually talk to them. So on the 13th of this month, Zain, who is a CNN reporter, had an interview with the principal, Peter Obi, and this interview went viral. Nigerians are talking about it. There's a lot of buzz, a lot of people talking about it. But we know that the Nigerian discourse, or when people talk about things, it actually came to like change the narrative, or they kind of like blow out of proportion what was said. So what we have decided to do was to get a snapshot of everything that was said, look at what was said, and kind of like analyze it. So I'm going to start with the first comment that was made, or the first question that was asked, and I want us as panelists to look at it and put in our opinion and analyze what was said by our principal and what we felt like could have been said. So let's look at the first question that was asked by Zain. And this was centered around corruption, insecurity. And we could actually look at what the principal said. And Nigerians are actually talking about this particular question. And I'm going to throw it out there for any of the panelists that want to talk. I'm going to start with Dr. Okupe, because I know that you are very, very into strategy and policy. Now, when Zain asked our principal, Peter Obi, about the insecurity in Nigeria, about the problems that are facing Nigeria, his response, what do you have to say about it? Dr. Coupe. Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I'm not sure.
I can, but
yeah, Dr. Coupe, can you just throw into light what the principal said about the insecurity in Nigeria? What do you think about his response to that particular question? I'm going to put this up for you to look at again, because that's why we're here. Nigerians are talking about it. And did you think that he actually addressed that particular question?
So who is Dr. Okupe now? Because you didn't introduce him earlier.
Oh, sorry, Duke. Sorry, I think I'm wrong. It's Duke Oputa. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was also waiting for Dr. Okupe to talk.
Okay, exactly. I thought it was Doyin Okupe.
Sorry about that. It's one of my customers. Sorry.
Yes, no problem. No problem at all. Right. Yes, that question hinged on, I think, three very specific issues that Zain brought up. One of them is systemic corruption, which ties in with oil theft. And the other bit was insecurity. And then finally, the fiscal hole in the Nigerian economy, which is basically the massive deficit that our government is operating under. And Peter did try to answer the question, but the clearest answer he gave was that there has to be an attempt, and this attempt has to be visible and measurable, which in itself doesn't actually address those specific issues. I would have been happier if he had picked on them individually and given a snippet, only a snippet of the kind of policy direction that he would go to try and get this thing sorted out. Bear in mind that every Nigerian leader in the past has identified these problems as being primary to getting it right. So identifying the problem is not a solution, but it's a very good start. And this is one thing that our principal is doing better than Atiku and Tinubu, which is actually identifying the problems and expressing a need to address them. But the way he addresses them has yet not been made public. I don't know if that is going to come at some point in the future. And the kind of situation that we're looking to see is him talking about how to deal with systemic corruption. Systemic corruption is not about politicians stealing money. It's about every aspect of our institutional life being tainted with corruption, whether it is motor licensing, the police, the judiciary. They are all tainted with corruption. And these are the institutions that make government work. So when you are unable to get these institutions to work in a pluralistic way, it becomes difficult for even the most competent leaders to actually achieve anything. And that is something that we have to recognize, which is, or Peter has to recognize, that it's not about telling Nigerians what you're going to do, because Atiku will tell Nigerians what he's going to do, and so will Tinubu. It's about separating himself from these two in saying they have had a chance to do something and they haven't done it. And now Nigeria is looking for change, and this is what I'm going to do. So for insecurity, he did point out that he was looking to change the architecture of the security system, which is a very, very good thing. But expand on that, be much more specific. For instance, talk about using competent commanders rather than appointments by fiat, which is one of the systemic issues we have, that appointments are made by fiat using the tribalism that he pointed out and the nepotism and the religion. I'm going to remove that. He should be telling us. He's going to tell us we're going to put the most competent commanders in this place in the first instance, and we're going to do them properly.
Just to say something, we know Nigerian situation, and we know that if our principal had actually said that he's going to remove that, knowing the way Nigerian works when it comes to the quota system and the belief that a particular sector, if they are the presidency, then they should allocate other choice jobs and sort choice ministry. Do you think he was trying to be very political by his answers? Was he trying not to to incite the people against him? Because I didn't get that, like you said, it wasn't concrete. Was he playing safe?
Yeah, it is possible that he was playing safe, but it is more likely that his advisors have not placed in front of him the policy direction that he should take rather than playing safe. I mean, playing safe is fine, but Nigeria is at a point now where people understand that something needs to be done. And one can talk about competence without removing the need for a balance. And that, again, is part of this, the kind of thinking that he should have. So in other words, when it comes to what you're talking about, which is ensuring that certain parts of the country have a share of the cake, as it were, the key thing for him is to assure everybody that people who are less privileged will be looked after. So when you talk about the quota system, he doesn't have to address it directly, but when he does, he can also include in that the need to look after those who would suffer from competence and from meritocracy. So if a particular section, and so if it's addressing the North, it's addressing, for instance, the Northeast, which is the least privileged part of the country, you can say to them, look, I will put more money into education in the Northeast. I will put more money into farms in the Northeast. But what I will not do is give jobs to the Northeast to people who cannot do it. But I will ensure that the benefits of those jobs will come to you. That is what you should be saying. So you should be looking at them and saying, I'm talking to you. I know your problems and I'm willing to solve it. But this is not the solution. Nigerians need to hear the truth. He's not going to get elected by lying. If it sidetracks the issues, he will not get elected because he'll be doing exactly the same thing as everybody else. And there's no reason to choose him ahead of the other two. The only reason to choose him is that he's offering something different. The key here is 2023, we produce a new type of government, a government that addresses the issues and solves those problems using the best tools available to it.
Thank you so much. Can I have Engineer Chuka Joseph, can you contribute to this conversation, please?
Yes, I completely agree with Mr. Oputa, what he has just said. And there's something I just want to point out. That is the fact that the interviewer kind of asked, can one person change all this? I expected our principal to emphasize to the fact that there are very many capable Nigerian hands scattered around the globe and in Nigeria. There are very well educated, principled, honorable men and women that could come in to help turn the ship around. That is something that I would have loved him to say, because actually, as we all know, 200 million folks in Nigeria, we're a very large country. Okay, no single person can change our mindset. No single person can change our culture overnight. No single person can change our way of doing business overnight. But when the right people are located or are involved in strategic places, they can help change the narrative. They can help change the way we do things. Okay, what he did in Anambra State, I understand he had people from other states work with him. Okay, is something actually unheard of in Nigerian history. A governor bringing people from other states to help him work so that he can achieve what he promised. I think that is something that could also be emphasized in that particular question. On the issue of being specific, generally, I don't know what his political strategists and the campaign team has when they need to start rolling out the blueprints of what they want to do. Okay, like what my predecessor has just said, all of us identifies the problem. Many people identifies the problem, but it's high time we start listening to specific strategic offerings, things that he wants to do to address specific problems. Okay, now there's something I just want to point out is that when he started talking about production, the other campaigns are now talking about production.
Yeah.
Now, so people will generally copy some of the things that he says, but we are not foolish. We have had who has the mindset, who has the record, who has already done things that can be relatable to what he is planning and what he is saying. So I think that is something that could also help provide more clarity onto what he wants to do. Okay. Unfortunately, there are people who say that all the politicians are the same. It's kind of when they don't find the thing against you, they try to group you with the rest.
Yeah.
Okay. So in a way, they want to tarnish you. They want to make you look like you don't have anything new to offer. You will promise, and at the time that you get elected, you wouldn't be able to deliver. So that is just one I wanted to add to what was already mentioned.
Well, I'm just, what I think from what both of you are saying is about strategy and being specific and actually telling us what he wants to do. I
That's
mean,
it.
Nigerians are tired of people giving us no manifesto, no concrete, expectation, and just glossing over policies that we are saying this movement is about. We want concrete. What are you going to do? On the first day in office, what do we expect from you? What are those people you're going to bring in? I'm going to call Chuks Agocha. I know you're very passionate about this movement, and I know you have had a lot of conversation with inner members of the Peter Obi campaign. And are they actually listening to what people are saying? Are they actually understanding that we, the supporters, we are not just supporting, we want concrete answers. We want him to be out there and actually giving us what he expects to do. I'm going to get in foreign machineries to help us with security, like he did in Anambra. He had to bring in other people to help. What is their mind? Do they understand what the country wants? I'm going to ask Chuks Agocha to come in here, please.
Thank you very much, Blessing. I would say that even our principal does have a good understanding of the challenge that he faces as the leader of the country, incoming leader of the country, as well as a fairly good understanding of what Nigerians are expecting from him. And in my conversations with people in and around him, everybody does know what the issues are, and hopefully, from what I can see, are bent towards finding solutions to them. In one of the events that His Excellency attended, he talked about um, the infrastructure that the country has to combat insecurity. And he talked about it with such knowledge and passion that you can see that he believes that we should not be where we are, taking cognizance of the kind of investments in infrastructure, relevant infrastructure, security infrastructure made over the years, and by virtue of the kind of budgets that have been put out for security that have been made. He strongly believes that we should not be where we are now. So in my interactions with them, I can confidently say that they are putting their minds and thoughts around this very fact that we can do better than we are doing now, even based on what. Furthermore, there are clear indications, even from His Excellency, that we have the resources to succeed quicker than we are seeming to do now. That we have the resources to do that. He's talked about collaborations across Africa, collaborations internationally. In some of his speeches, he's talked about those sort of things to enable us quickly overcome the key insecurity facet that we have to deal with as a country. So I do feel that His Excellency and those around him are fairly aware of the situation and addressing their thoughts on the solutions. At least that is the soundbite coming out from them. We hope that going forward, that His Excellency could be more clear-cut in his address to people, the nation, on the media, in putting forward some of the thoughts that he has to change the dynamic of things within the security inadequacy that we feel and experience as a country.
Wow. Okay. I'm still going to go back to being precise, okay, because that's what we have been getting on social media, on the viral news trend, on Spaces. And I'm going to get back to one of the things that people picked up on this particular comment that the Excellency did say. He was talking about the impact of, about the negativity, and we said we will deal with it heads on. We have got to get our finances right. This is a CNN interview, and we could have expected we are going to do this and we're going to do that. I know you said that they have, they know what they're doing, they are planning, but, by this time, what we're expecting is a blueprint. Okay, this is what we are going. We're going to get this done. We need to have a manifesto. And I know that in a Nigerian situation, manifestos are hard to get or is not there. I don't know if any of the panelists wants to talk about how can we, if you're going to advise the Excellency, how can he address security? Because at the end of the day, we feel like we are passionate about Nigeria. We can contribute. What should he do about security before we move on to the other topic? What should he do about security? I'm going to pass on. I know that I have John Alpha. Doctor, you haven't said anything. I don't know if Olua is back, but if I give John Alpha, what do you think he should get on to do with security?
Before I talk about security, can I just say one or two things about our previous discussion? We have to bear in mind that this was a CNN interview, maximum 10 minutes kind of interview. And the direction of the interview is often determined by the questions and the person asking the questions. And, it's easy for us to say, okay, there wasn't a blueprint or he didn't elaborate on one thing or the other. But we must bear in mind that the questions she asked were a bit broad-based. In one stroke, she asked about, she mentioned corruption, economy. She mentioned physical whole, the debt burden of Nigeria, and insecurity. Just the first question. So I believe that Peter Obi, answered it broadly. He wasn't coming to CNN to tell us his blueprint. He didn't really come to CNN to tell us about, the nitty-gritty of how he's going to deal with security and every other matter. He came to answer the questions that were asked. I believe there will be opportunities to elucidate on most of the topics. And I think that, if he were to elucidate on 1, 2, 3 things that the lady asked, I think that, the interview probably will be edited in such a way that, we or Peter Obi himself may not like. So I think that he did okay trying to pinpoint, relevant things, headlines that he will want to deal with. He started with saying, there needs to be a committed leader. And that's what I said when I started this whole thing, this discussion. If there is one committed leader with a track record, with people knowing what he has done in leadership, then we can trust this person to do the things he has done before. he was just talking around, the things that he wants to do, not the nitty-gritty of policy statements. That was not the forum, to be fair.
Okay.
Now, talking about security, he did say that, insecurity is the bane of our society currently. Insecurity is why the economy is not doing well. Insecurity is why farmers are not going to the farm. Insecurity is why people are not traveling from one place to the other. And he did mention that in terms of the economy, there needs to be a reduction in the weight, in the number and money spent on governance. And he went on to say there is need to tackle corruption head on. Those are broad topics that any person asked such a question would say. He's not going to in 2 minutes tell you about the blueprint for security. He started by saying that I will change the architecture of the security in the country. What else do you want? He's going to change the architecture. And he did say that there's need for more personnel. In other words, he's going to recruit more personnel. He even mentioned state police. He may not want to come out as an advocate of it, but how do you increase personnel? And how do you increase the architecture of the police or the security agencies? It is by either recruiting more people or putting responsible people or putting incorruptible people in the place of leadership. I cannot believe for 1 minute that His Excellency Peter Obi, having ruled a state for 8 years and having been in the Economic Council of Nigeria, would not know, pinpoint things that he would do when it comes to power in terms of security. Of course, he does know. The CNN interview situation did not give him that opportunity. There wasn't that opportunity to elucidate. I trust, just like Chief Aguaba just said, I believe that himself, the people around him, various committees do have in mind and on paper the things that they would do from day one. I believe that. I mean, I won't be standing as a presidential candidate as the capable person of Peter Obi, not knowing what he intends to do. So whilst we may make contribution to make things better or to give suggestions to himself or to his committee or to the people around him, we must, we realize that, these people are people that are committed and have a track record. And in no way, I cannot believe for 1 minute that they will not have a direction or a detailed blueprint.
Okay, I'm going to say something because, I don't know if you're on social media and if you actually feel the pulse of Nigeria. I think Nigerians have had enough of people telling them, I will stop insecurity. Nigerians are asking how. Do you understand? And if we understand the fact that this movement is not actually Peter Obi, is Nigerians fighting for their life. So if you understand, if you're looking at this from that standpoint, that people are actually, some people are saying, okay, I don't want to eat my breakfast, I don't want to eat my lunch, I want to send this money to my support group, I want Nigeria to be better. So if we want to hold accountable our leader, we need them to come to CNN, especially a platform like CNN, and give us the how. And this is where we are coming from. We're coming from, we do not want how will I say it now? A policy that, okay, I'm going to help, we don't want that. How are you going to help? How are you going to do it? I don't know if Duke Okupe understands where we are coming from and why Nigerians are talking about this. This is not business as usual. Nigerians are saying, how? We have had this from Obasanjo, we have had this from Buhari, we have had this, a lot of years we have had this. What we want is, if you're going to address us, give us your reason. is anybody, if somebody can come in and address why Nigerians are talking about this way?
Yes. Can I come in?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. John has some very, very good points. Excellent points indeed. You're absolutely right. I mean, these guys that are around Peter are very seasoned, you know, political activists and also, you know, social economists. So they do know most of the time what is right and what should be done. But the main problem is that I think that there is a fear of putting on the table what is obvious because people think they might be vote losers. I've come to the conclusion personally that we have got to the point in our economic development and the political development where we have to stop fearing those things. I'll give you an example, John, in terms of what you said about Peter not having time to answer these things. If you can find snippets and only snippets that actually indicate that he knows, which he does, that he's got to actually get it across where the problem lies, which is basically not having the right inclusive institutions that run the government. Let's take wages, for instance. The minimum wage in Nigeria is 30,000 naira. It's not enough to buy a food basket for 1 week for a family of two. And if you divide that into that family of two, it's an income that is below the World Bank level of extreme poverty. That is less than $2 a day. So people go to work and work for 40 hours a week only to earn a poverty income that they cannot live on. That is a propagation of systemic corruption because they have no other choice than to go and find that money somewhere else because they've got to survive. What I think Peter should be doing is taking those snippets. When he was asked, how are you going to do this? He would say something like, I recognize that the civil service is incompetent because we don't pay them enough.
Thank you.
I will find a way to pay them a living wage to start with so they can be ready to work for Nigeria. Those are the people that will work for Nigeria, not just me, which is the problem you were talking about. It's not just me, it's Nigerians, and the civil servants are Nigerian workers. We need to pay them well. But in addition to that, which is also very critical, I think Peter's team need to go out and get numbers out of the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. They should get the number of civil servants in the country. It should be on Peter's lips. He should know exactly, or roughly, the number of civil servants in Nigeria. He should know how much money is paid to civil servants every year. When you talk about reducing government, cost of governance, it's no good talking about that if you're not giving us what it is. Let us know what the cost of governance is in Nigeria, so we can actually put that in context of our whole income. If it turns out we're spending 70% of our income on governance, then you can begin to say, I'm going to reduce that to 50%. It's very specific. It doesn't take 10 seconds to say that. But those are specific things that Nigerians are looking to hear because those are the things that Atiku and Tinubu will not talk about. Remember, this is a competition. It's not just about Peter. He needs to talk about things that the other side will not talk about, and things that will get people thinking, and things that will get the constituency that he's looking at thinking, including the business community. He's going to turn around to the business community and say to them, look, I recognize the fact that business is stifled by police on the roads, by customs everywhere. We're going to change that. We're going to go out. I'm guaranteeing you, if I become president tomorrow, the police will leave the routes of Nigeria. They will only be there to guard you. Nobody's going to stop you for carrying goods inside Nigeria. That's a guarantee. It doesn't take more than 10 seconds to say that. So these very specific things, that's what Nigerians are looking to hear. And once they hear this, then they will know you are different from the past. And that's perhaps the way I see the advance.
Well, thank you so much. We have a new panelist, and I think the person is representing Honorable, I think James Chukwu. Is that Honorable okay? Are you the one on here? Hello? Is that Honorable okay? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, so you are representing I heard that the Honorable cannot be, he wasn't able to make it to this meeting. And you're representing him. And what do you have to say about our conversation? Now, I am aware, because I wanted to bring in someone from the opposition. I'm aware that your party is not a Labour Party. And so we're very mindful of what you think about our principal CNN interview. Coming from that angle, you are the opposition. You are, I think you are, what are you, what party are you?
Right now I'm a member of the People's Democratic Party.
All right. So when you watched our principal's interview, what were the things that you expect that you didn't get?
Thank you, the moderator. His interview to me was a welcome development.
Okay.
He hit some of the points of the things that could be achievable in Nigeria. But like I have once said, changing Nigeria, it's not all about changing its policies alone. It's not all about the president and its household being able to be obedient or being able to be a law-abiding citizen alone. Remember, we are talking about 200 million brain altogether. I don't see most of the things that he is saying to be straight short achievable. That is the way I see some of the things he highlighted. I listened to one of the speakers of today too, made a statement about the poverty level of the average Nigerian or average working Nigerian. Let me say average working Nigerian of that 30,000 or 33,000 thereabouts. Whereby what is 33,000? I go to work here and I get paid better money, $50, $60 an hour. Then at the end of the day, you multiply that and check what it gives you in naira. It is not even enough for what somebody will go for 40 hours and then work. He needs, as an economist, that the principle is, he needs to go into that economy, the economists, try to develop, let us know the blueprint you are coming in to do. When you talk of agenda, you at the end of the day, you're talking of 12, 20 agenda. At the end of the day, you might be able to do two. People will count it against you that you did not keep your campaign promises because those 20 or those 12 agendas that you brought in as campaign promises, if you are not being able to at least give that account of that 12, the remaining people that you did not touch will still come down to haunt you, will still come down to say, this guy promised us that he will do this, but he didn't do this. He didn't do this. But is there any place that he did well? Yes, he did well. I would like him, when he go talk, I've been listening to him. I follow him, even when he was 4 years ago when he was deputizing Atiku Abubakar. I listened to him. He was the brain behind Atiku Abubakar last 4 years. If my principal Atiku Abubakar has now gotten something to offer us in Nigeria, yeah, I'm a true citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I don't like it here in the United States of America better than Nigeria because there is no place like home. So if he can be able to bring it down, things that he will do, he's an economist, go down on your priorities that you feel that, yes, these are the things that we need first. Other things will fall in line. Then we can go there. Nigeria has passed the era of, I have built this road. I have given these people light. What is that? So we want to see more policies. I've been listening to our diasporans who have been on this panel talk. If you listen to each and every one of them, they are coming up with the experience, the things that they have envisaged, the things they have enjoyed from these countries where each and every one of us now represented here have been lived in and then go with. I can remember the stories, the histories told us about the 1970s where naira was higher than the dollar, and people going to school just to go and get the education and come back to Nigeria to be able to stay. Those old good days can still come back. We can still see it in this our generation. But all I want to just let us know is that those things cannot just come in a flick on a finger, or that you cross one T or you dot one I, that those
Okay.
things will come down. Okay?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your contribution. I know that we had to get you in here because the Honorable asked you to come here, and because you're representing Abia, which is my state. And I had to say, okay, you know what, come in, let's talk about the opposition. We're going to go through, because we need to actually look at what was said. Let's just run through, because the main thing that we have all said, agreed on, is that our principal Peter Obi was not somebody's microphone is on, and just allow me to, yeah, thank you. One thing that we have all agreed on is that our principle was not specific. Now we can say, okay, he's going to do that later. We can say that his manifesto is not yet out. Maybe he's trying to. I've had people say he's hiding his manifesto. He's going to bring out the specific later. I've had a lot of things. I'm going to run through the questions that was asked and his answer. If we can all look at it, and we can actually agree that some of his answers were vague. I mean, let's just go through the answers, and then we can go through what we think about his answers. I mean, when she asked about Nigerians being broke, he was about talking about about negativity of our economy, about putting people out of poverty as quickly as possible. For me, as a blogger, I don't have what I could say he said he was going to do. Now, remember, I'm an obedient, and I'm not doing this to criticize the principle. I'm doing that to encourage and to say we need to go back to the drawing board, and we need to actually pinpoint what are the economical strategy. What are we looking at? Now, when it came to when she asked about Nigerian reputation, the refinery, I was expecting, when she asked that question, it was one of those things that were like, me, I want to know about what is going to happen. We have heard that Niger Republic, they are actually refining our oil and bringing it back to Nigeria. It hurts my heart to hear that when I know that we are the one that is sending our crude oil there. They are refining it for us and bringing it back. When we have refineries not working, even as a layman, I could have said, okay, I'm going to get this done, I'm going to fix this. But he didn't say that. I did not hear that from his response. Now, when it came to when she asked about importing refined, the same question, he talked about encouraging private sector to operate refineries. He said that, yeah. But we know what subsidy is all about. We know that private sector will not do anything without subsidy. And how is it going to manage that? Yeah, we can say private sector. We have the Dangotes, we have the other people, or the Otedolas, and people that actually have a private refineries. But we are talking about the subsidies. We're talking about people feeling that taking the crude outside Nigeria is a lot better. I'm going to say the last thing that that was addressed and was put to him that he did not address was about the tribes. I just feel like I watch our principal most times. The tribe issue is there. We can I'm on social, I'm on a lot of groups, and we try not to talk about tribes. But we know that when our principal becomes, by the grace of God, the president of this country, tribes will come in. If he's not performing, they will bring it up. If things happen, there's going to be another divide. How is he going to address it? What I expected, which he did talk about, was about ethnicity and character. But is he going to end the allocation of what will I say, quota system? What principle, what policies will be put in place? Now I'm going to, because I know we have, I'm going to bring Chuks Agocha. I mean, I've shown you what was said and everything, his response. Do you actually believe that Nigerians are right in saying that some of these answers were not really deep enough? What do you think?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. And the answer largely for me was yes. Just watching that televised interview, it wasn't deep enough. It was superficial, as far as I was concerned. And as you can see, even in social media, it's reflective of opinions across the board. And one of the panelists has also mentioned that we are past that era where you make broad-based statements without specificity to it. And I do very much agree that even in the time frame given, he didn't need to answer all the bullet points in the questions. He could have picked on one or two and gone a bit deeper, into them. Insecurity, for instance, power generation, systemic corruption that has been talked about. The fact that even the National Assembly, as an arm of government, takes in so much budgetary allocation, way over 5 or 6 states, just for the National Assembly. There are specific things that I was hoping, and I do hope that going forward, the narrative from His Excellency could be more specific in those areas, to say beyond the general talk of I'll give you power, I'll give you this, I'll give you that. Be more specific, how you're going to address things. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I'm going to put this question again to Engineer Chuks. I know you are passionate about the fact that, okay, he's just trying to address it, doesn't have to go deep. I mean, listening to everybody and reading through everything that, he said, if you're going to be the one to present or to be his strategist, what advice would you give him? Engineer Chuks. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
To initiate. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Yes, actually, Nigerian issue is a multifaceted issue. I think it is well understood that Peter Obi's project, as understood by all Nigerians, or at least by a good majority of Nigerians, we are not just expecting a 4-year project. We're expecting a project that, apart from the normal business as usual governance and establishing those structures that are necessary for him to govern transparently and be able to answer to the most critical and necessary needs of the nation. Another thing that falls on his shoulder, I hope that he himself and the team around him understands it, is to set up a blueprint for future governments to work with. Okay, you may say, who is he to decide what the next president may do? But there are things that could be done in the legislative aspect. There are things that could be done structurally to help the governance to be able to function better, both in reporting, indices, and at the same time, blueprints that could help the future governments to go on with. Another thing, getting back to what you are trying to, what you asked about the strategy, I think the messaging needs to be enhanced. Okay, they got a very powerful message. I agree, but it needs to be enhanced. I've seen less of Mr. Dati, the vice president candidate. He's a powerful guy. I've had him speak in an interview, and it was powerful. Also, on the grassroots level, there are things that needs to be put in place to help transmit that message. Okay. One thing that was said a while ago about the minimum wage. One thing is having a minimum wage. Another thing is taking it home every month. Okay. There are many people who are not paid 7 months, 6 months, 3 months. You mention it. How in the world can a government budget salaries, but at the time of paying, people don't receive those salaries? And legally, this is being done in Nigeria. Legally. How in the world do we have a financial system that allows it that government don't comply with government laws? So this is something that we need to actually come out and let the people know. In this new administration, no state in the country will ever not pay salaries, because we are going to control it from the center. We are going to make sure that the salaries that are being budgeted are going to be paid. Okay, it's just a point. There are many other issues that are wrong. Okay, another thing, just before I drop the mic for the people to other people to speak on, is there is something that we call the other Nigerians. I kind of coined that idea on my head, so maybe sorry for it, but let me explain. The other Nigerians, these are all the people that are benefiting from the status quo. What message are we expecting from our principal's mouth directed to these people? If you are in the customs, if you are in the police, if you are in the justice, delivery, or in any other area where you have been unjustly affecting the working of the government, all these issues has to be addressed. If they are being left out, then people will not just believe that all this will change after the swearing in of the new president. So I think the messaging needs to be adjusted to respond to some of these specific areas of pain for the nation. So I think the strategy needs to adjust itself. It is not a kind of a rigid strategy. It needs to flow along as people are asking questions, providing channels for those questions to be answered. I think that would be very helpful.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm going to go to, we're rounding up, and I'm going to go to Duke Oputa. I know you have this in our group, in our WhatsApp group, in our support group. You have drafted a policy, and I've listened to that policy, and it is sound. If you're going to give our principal a policy strategy, something he should actually be addressing the people and talking about, can you please give us one thing you were addressing on any of the things that he spoke about, the way he should have gone around talking about it, maybe about the insecurity, maybe it's about the oil, the fuel, maybe it's about corruption. And look, I know this is like, putting it on you. I didn't say I was going to talk about this, but can you look at the policy framework that you have come up with and kind of like link it to how he should have addressed it? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Blessing. Principally, I will concentrate in one area only, because that one area takes care of every other aspect of our economic decline. you know, institutional changes. These are the key areas, because we have this habit of assuming and projecting that our previous leaders were incompetent. I would dare to say that incompetence is not the issue. I doubt very much if they were incompetent. I doubt very much if Buhari is incompetent. If he was incompetent, I don't think he would have risen to the rank of a general. But the key element is that with all the best intentions, if you come into work in an area where most of the institutions in the country are extractive. I'm sorry if I have to use that very technical word, but extractive here, I'm sure we all know what it means, but for the benefit of everybody else who may not know, is that the institutions are built to look after themselves and take things for themselves and take it from the poorest for that matter. This is where we are at the moment. And most countries that have actually moved away from where we are now to a more developed, more inclusive society have had to dismantle all extractive institutions and bring in inclusive ones. So in the case of Nigeria, you're talking about the police, the customs, the courts, the civil service, the inland revenue, the population control, trades regulation, banking. All of these institutions are extractive, which means they don't work for the ordinary person. They don't work for the economy. They work for themselves. Now, in order to change this, the most important thing that you need is money. And one area that Peter has not talked about and no other candidate has talked about is the fact that the Nigerian government just doesn't have the revenue to make these changes. If Peter has to depend on the money that is coming into the government at the moment to carry out the reforms that he's talked about, he will fail because there isn't enough money to do it. He doesn't have enough money to pay civil servants a living wage, which means that they will not do the work. And without the civil servants, you cannot achieve anything. Bear in mind, for instance, that politicians cannot be corrupt without the aid of the civil service. If the civil service did not aid politicians, they cannot steal one kobo from the Nigerian government because politicians don't have access to banks. They don't have access to bank accounts. They don't have access to the coffers of the parastatals. They have to give instructions to a civil servant to pass the money to them. And the civil servant can say, sorry, sir, can't do that. It's illegal. The only issue, of course, is the fear is he will get sacked or moved out. But that is part and parcel of the institution that Peter can change because he can come out and say, look, we're going to make sure that civil servants can do their job and not fear being sacked because we're going to make sure that they are ring-fenced from interference from politicians. But to do any of these things, he needs to raise the money. So I want him to start concentrating on where he's going to find the money. At the moment, Nigerian government is spending $40 billion a year. And most of that is actually borrowed. We can't borrow anymore. We need to take that expenditure beyond 40 billion, possibly to 80 billion. I want Peter to tell Nigerians that in our first year, we're going to improve our revenue 10%, 10%, 10%, something like that. But they have to do the work to get the numbers right. And that is possible because our GDP is $450 billion and our tax revenue is only 6%, which is a quarter of the lowest in the developing economy. So we can double our tax base without taxing anybody a single penny more. Peter can talk about that openly and confidently. If they do the homework, get their figures right, he can come out and say to Nigerians, everybody earning less than 100,000 naira will not pay any tax in my first 2 years in power.
Wow.
That's a vote winner. And you can say to them, we will save, that will cost, he said to them, that will cost us 1 trillion naira. Bet we're going to get that 1 trillion naira back by taxing those who are earning above 500,000 a month, who we have not taxed at all for the last 20 years. That's a small number of people, so it doesn't matter if they are disgruntled. It's the 80% that will get a tax-free income that will help them step out of poverty. They are the ones that are listening. They are the ones that have the vote. He needs those numbers. He needs to be able to go out and say, that's what we're getting. That's where we're getting it from. And that's what we need to get some more of. And if we get that much, we can do this. So with an additional $20 billion over and above our current budget, we can do everything that we want to do. We can increase police salaries by increasing police quality. We can increase civil servant salaries by making sure everybody puts in an effort. Productivity goes up because incomes are big enough for them to sit up in the office and do their work. This is how we're going to do it. He needs to concentrate on that. That is my message to him. Concentrate on the money. Without the money, you can do nothing. Tell Nigerians where you're going to get the money from. Even simple things like cigarette taxes. The cigarettes are the cheapest in Nigeria. You can buy a packet of cigarettes in Nigeria for 50 cents. 50 cents for 20 cigarettes in Nigeria. In Australia, is $15. No, $20 for one packet. In Britain, it's about $14 for one packet. I don't know how much it is in the States. But everywhere else, we're talking about $10, $8. But in Nigeria, it's 50 cents for a packet of cigarette. If you treble that, if you quadruple that and take it from 50 cents to $2, it will still be the cheapest cigarettes in the world. And it will raise the country 300 or 400 billion naira, just doing that alone. And nobody's going to fault you for taxing cigarettes. Nobody's going to say, oh, no, we're not going to vote for you because you're taxing cigarettes. They'll actually vote for you because of that. So at the end of the day, what I'm getting at is that he needs to be telling people in very simple statements that I know where to get the money to solve your problem. I'm coming to grow Nigeria, not to manage your poverty. So we are managing, accuse the rest. Tell them that Buhari and his predecessors were managing poverty, and I'm here to manage prosperity. And also use the messages, use the attacks on him, bounce it back like a karate expert. They say he's a trader. They say he doesn't have the same business experience as Atiku. They say he doesn't have the same business experience as Tinubu. Use that. Tell them that Tinubu and Atiku have made their money from extractive industries. They've made their money through the state. They've carried money. I'm the only one that has gone into the economy and made money out of it. I haven't done a single government contract in my life. So if you're looking for somebody who has the same experience as you, who knows how difficult it is to do business in Nigeria, it's me. Not the guy who's running H.E.Peter and not the guy who's running, whatever it is that Atiku is running. This is the kind of direction that he needs to be going into. Get the people believing that he actually does have a solution.
Wow, you know what? I do love listening to you, and I could spend my whole day listening to your strategy. And I could relate with this because I live in the UK, and after the COVID, they are taxing me like hell. Like my electricity bill has gone up, my tax has gone up, but the government came out and they were very open and they told me why. So I understood why. I understood they were fallow. I understood why I'm being taxed. I don't get any money now, but I understand. And this is the thing that we lack sometimes in our political leaders. They are not sincere. Nigeria is bleeding. We are borrowing, but they are not telling us the truth. I'm going to go back to, you know what, it has been, a lot of people are talking about this conversation that we are having, and people are learning a lot from this. I'm going to go back to, I think the last person the first person I want to talk to is Dr. John. I mean, I know you started with, do you think that it is about time our leaders are honest with us? Be honest. Tell us that we are poor, our country, we are bleeding. Tell us and then tax us and we'll be okay. What do you think? Should Peter be telling us the truth? Should he tell us that, you know what, I'm going to be attacked? If I talk about security, he's talking about the military, they're going to come after him. We know what happened. I'm not going to talk about it, but Jonathan, we know what happened with Jonathan. There will be attack on his person, on his policy. Should he come out and say, okay, I'm going to do this, I do not care. So that when he goes in there, we are protecting him and not have the 1 million or 20 million match against him when he goes in there. What do you think? Should he be more open? Doctor, we can't hear you.
Yeah, I did mute myself so that it won't reverberate on your end. Anyway, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Yes. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to say a few words again. I agree with what Mr. Oputa just said. I do believe that he will come a bit more open. And if he doesn't, I think we should be putting our heads together, those of us that believe in his cause. I think we should be putting our heads together, writing down some of these things that we have discussed tonight. Obviously, we didn't expect him to say all this in a 7-minute CNN interview, but we do know that a time will come that he just has to consider some of the input we are making. Otherwise, our labor for him will be in vain. And those of you that have connections to him, I think we should start making some legwork so that we can present to him the pulse of the country. But he alone or his inner circle may not be able to get into their heads all that is going on around the country. So I do believe that the time will come. And by the way, campaign has not started. It will start. I know that people are just, going around and trying to sow seeds in groups in people's minds and all that. And he has been accused of going around to churches and trying to turning the politics into politics of religion and all that. And you would expect all those battles to come because that's what politics is. So yes, I expect him to be open and truthful and direct. That is the only way he can be different from the next person. That is the only way he can be different from Tinubu or from Atiku. That is the only way he can be different from the people that have come before him. Because we are at this strategic point in our country's development and in the expectation of everybody else that if you sing the same song that everybody has sung before now, people will not be impressed. People will know that you are one of them. You've come to deceive them. Already, the people have this impression that Peter Obi is something different and is something. It's a step away from the previous people. Somebody, a newness coming to be in Nigeria. He should take advantage of that and say those things that he really wants to do. And I can see, to be honest with you, I can see those signs already. All right, because if he goes on a promissory, campaign and all that, people will say, "Oh, we've heard this before. This is what this person said. This is what the other person said, and here this is where we are." They will even compare him to Buhari and say, "Oh, this is a guy that said, he will make Naira 1-to-1. He will do this and that." And lo and behold, he's one of the worst people around that, as far as our generation can tell. So either he knows himself, either the people around him should know, or we make them realize it. You and I making the discussion tonight. We should let him know that he should say point blank the things that we have discussed this night and the many more things that we may suggest. But like I said, I can see signs of him doing that. First of all, in this 7 minutes interview he did with CNN, he did say something that maybe many people will be afraid to tread. You know what he said? He said that, we should stop importing refined products. He did say that. He again said that, he will either reduce or remove fuel subsidy. He did mention that. And so these are things that, makes you believe that he will do the things that will make for a sound economy. He will do those things that he's promising. He may not be articulating himself really well right now, but I know he has good intentions. And I know that those of us around him, or those of us that are forming like a think tank around him, should be able to project these things to the people around him to make him see these things. I can go on, but I think that I'll let other people speak. Thanks.
Oh, thank you
I
so
would
much.
like to mention, sorry. I just want to chip into what Dr. John mentioned. Is that okay? Just a little.
Yeah, yes, you can, yeah.
Okay, I just want to mention to give credit to our principal also. He has spent so many years traveling around, interviewing leaders and people in different positions in Nigeria, understanding our problem. Okay, I don't know if his strategic group and the protocol leadership that are working with him has mapped out the timing for bringing out the details of the what that people want to hear. These are the things that maybe by the time the campaign formally starts, we may start seeing those things being mentioned. But I understand that he has spent so many years documenting, learning, and mapping out the problems against the solutions. So maybe there will be time for us to be able to see that. Well, let me just give him the benefit of the doubt. After the campaign starts, maybe there will be need for another type of forum like this to be able to see what they are doing and see
Okay.
what can come of it.
Our plan is to try to get this forum like almost every week. I'm trying to get the Northern Coalition to come on. There are a lot of people that are talking, a lot of things on space. I'm trying to get people that, any discussion, any conversation. If I can get 4 people on the panelists that will join, we'll talk to them, we address issue. One thing about the OB movement is that the voices of the people are actually being heard. This movement is about the people, and Obi listens to the people and he wants to hear. And it's not about the mainstream media talking and closing our voice and nobody's hearing. Platform like this and every other platform is actually an avenue for us to air our view and say what we have to say. And hopefully, we will have people in our midst that will direct our views to our principal, Mr. Peter Obi. And there's something about this movement. We are not apologetic to tell him when he's doing something wrong. We will. And for me personally, is about getting it right. So if our principal is not doing the right thing, I'm personally going to come out and I'm going to call it out. Now, why saying this? We have someone in our midst, and I want to bring him up, Mr. Anele. Thank you so much for coming. I know I'm just going to bring you up here because I know that you are the one that got me involved in the Nigerian diaspora for Peter Obi. And once I got in, I was like, oh my God, this is what I've been waiting for. And I also know that you have been the background person trying to get this forum going. And I also have been preview to the support group in Nigeria that you have actually spoken to, and you have gotten our support group to support. You have listened to everything that has been said, and I know that you are also in touch and you are actually have a link to the Peter Obi inner caucus. What do you think about what people have said so far about his CNN interview and the fact that it was not deep enough? What is your take about what we have said so far?
Well, Blessing, I'll start by saying that you have been truly a blessing, the way you have taken these uh, movements and the project and the way you have run with it. And it's truly amazing. Particularly, I'm pleased with this interview tonight. Unfortunately, like mostly, it just came up, and I'm juggling between three meetings at the moment. So I just popped in. I haven't actually been with you from the beginning, but I listened to Duke, I listened to John, and all the things they say resonate. And I listened to that interview. What is my opinion? The interview was good. He was good in the interview. The fact of the interview itself was good. It's a win. It put us in the international stage. It lets us know that look, the outside world is taking note of what is happening in Nigeria, and what we need to do is to help keep on projecting that and getting the world to pay attention. Now, Uh, Peter has done very well so far in his interviews. He has most of the time spoken off the cuff. I'm aware that he hasn't put together the full professional group you have with for people who are running for such major things. That those things are still in the making. A strategy group. You have to have speech writers. You have to have diary secretaries, people who order you, because once the campaign starts, he can't rest to think. A lot of things have to be packaged for him. When he comes to speak, it matters. He has to know it matters what the audience is. An interview on CNN, an interview on Arise, all of them are different. You know how to present yourself, how to package yourself, and I'm sure that is being worked on. There is your delivery. You have to know how to deliver for each audience, and that is very important. And when you have these brief interviews and things, what you call sound bites, have a small phrase or message that people take and repeat and repeat and repeat, because that's how to get the message out. The the detail the detail the detail will be in the manifesto, where all the policy ones will sit down and hammer out all the things of what he's going to do, how he's going to do it, and all that. But it's always difficult to get the summary of that in an interview or in a speech and all that. That is what needs to be worked on, that the message, the important message, gets across, and keep it simple. As John was saying, make it something simple, make it something that resonates, make it something that is different from the others. Because at the moment, I mean, I keep on waiting to see what the other men contenders do, and they're not saying anything. They're not campaigning. They're just doing it as usual. They're planning and plotting, and maybe that's how they're going to win it. But they're not going out there to try to convince anybody. We most of us here have gotten down to our villages. We've gotten people to go around and talk to people. We have the door-to-door movement. But the other parties, as far as I'm aware, unless because we are in our own side, I'm not aware that they are doing any of those things. So that is our hope, that we will go in, do things differently, speak to people, get the message across, and continue with that effort down to getting people to go out and vote on that day, and watching and make sure that the election process goes properly as it should be. But once again, blessing, thank you for putting this up. Thank you.
No, thank you so much for coming up. I mean, I know I put you on the spot. I'm going to ask, we're going to be rounding up now. We have spent almost 2 hours. I mean, I didn't expect that. I'm going to just do a little bit of housekeeping. We have a major rally coming up in London. Now, if you are watching this broadcast, if it's an after broadcast, after we have finished this show and you're watching this, please, if you're in London, please, I am going to be there live and direct. 1st of October. I was so happy when I heard that is on Saturday. I'm not working. I am there live. Trafalgar Square. I hope I got it right, Mr. Chuksagocha. Yeah, the coordinator. We do have online event booking for it. Now, if you're Nigerian and you are in diaspora, we have a group. Please, we would love you to join us. We are called Nigerian Diaspora for Peter Obi. You can reach out to me on any of our social media. Please call us, follow us, be with us. Let's make Nigeria work again. Also, we have a lot of projects that we are sponsoring back home, Nigerian door to door. We had Sylvia, Olua was supposed to come up. He keeps coming up. Olua, can you hear us? Are you on now? He is the National Secretary and Coordinator for Peter Obi door to door in Nigeria. He has his I think his network is not working, so he's been trying to come on. We do have our own website. Please just Google Nigerian Diaspora for Peter Obi. We are there. We are actually about to host the principal next month. I think the coordinator will round up and giving you guys more updates about what we do while we're here and why we are passionate about, what we do. And, we please, if you're in London, you are going to meet us at the Trafalgar Square. We have a T-shirt. We have meeting. In fact, I'm ready. I can't wait for that day. I'm going to give the panelists one chance each for them to say something. I'm going to ask it this way. If you are going to advise the principal, what is one thing you will say to him? So we're going to take it round, one person saying something, and then we're going to end with the coordinator, and he's going to round up with what is our vision, why do we do what we do, and any upcoming projects, so that anyone who is watching this clip after can actually understand why we do what we do. So I'm going to start with engineer. If you are going to advise the principal, what is the one thing you will say to him?
Thank you for the great opportunity to participate in this show. If I'm going to advise him, the only thing I would like to tell him specifically that has been an issue is to let him know, let him transmit to the northerners, to the westerners, to the middle belt, to the south that Southeast will not have any specific advantage over any other part of Nigeria. His project is Nigeria. His project is not Southeast. His project is not any ethnicity. His project is Nigeria. He has made it well, clear, and sound, but some people are trying to misrepresent his intentions. So I think he should specifically address that.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I know most people are taking note of this, and people that will hear this and watch this later who are in his inner caucus will actually advise him. I'm going to go to Dr. John. Please, what will you advise him?
My advice would be, number one, he should not mince words in just in the way and manner that people before him, or in the way and manner that the current contenders for the same post are going about the campaign. In other words, he knows his demography is Nigeria. He knows that, the youths are routing for him. He knows that every sane person wants something to change. They want to something to give in Nigeria. He should consciously, express his plans for what he intends to do, and with the express intention of getting it going as soon as he gets there. And he should make that message clear to everybody. And that's the core of what we have been saying. You want to take action on security, tell us how you're going to do it. You want to take action on on institutions and governance structure, tell us how you're going to do it, and keep that message going. That's number one. Number two, I agree with Chooks, my honorable friend that just spoke. He should look towards the north. And by north, I mean the political north, which encompasses, every other state apart from the southern states. If you say Nigeria is north and south, and if you say that the president should come from this and that, as other political parties are saying, then he should look towards that. I don't know how much is done in that aspect already. I don't know how much groundwork is done, but I would like to see more visibility in the North Central, in the Northwest, in the Northeast, the geopolitical North. And I suppose that, I don't know, my own 10 pence I'll contribute. and I'm actively trying to recruit more people of my type of geographical location, and I hope this livens up things more in the north as it's going on in the south. Thanks.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm gonna bring in okay, I'm gonna bring in Anela. I don't know if Anela has gone. Yeah, he's there. I know that you have the ear of the principal, and what advice would you give him after hearing about what is going on, what people are talking about? What would be your advice?
Peter, please keep on being Peter. Peter, keep it simple. Peter, delegate more and more. That's it.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I think that delegation is very important. I feel like, when it comes to his vice president, he needs to do more. And I think he also needs to rest before the actual campaign starts. Now I'm going to bring this to Honorable. Okay, I know that you're not obedient, and I'm going to keep saying that for a reason. You live in diaspora. We want you to be obedient because your seat is the local seat. We are talking about the presidency. We have people in our group who actually do support other people when it comes to local seat, like the governor, the councillor, the senators, the heads of assembly. But when it comes to the presidency, they do support our principle. So, Engineer Honorable OK, what is your advice being in the opposition party? What would you want us to do more being a Nigerian? Thank you.
Thank you, Doc, the moderator. So thank you to the contributors of today's talk show. Everybody have been able to pour out their mind, well thought, well calculated. I applaud each and every one of you that have spoken here today. But I just want to have one correction to make, Madam Moderator. Being obedient or being a Peter Obi supporter will be a welcome development to any Nigerian. But I just have one question regarding Obi presidency. Earlier on today, I was reading one paper or just one article where a governor, a Labour Party governor in a state was commenting on a rally or a march done by the Labour Party or done by the Peter Obi movement. So he was using his name to add to that rally. And I was hearing most people from the same people that said they are now obedient, now talking bad, warning that Goba aspirant to desist from that particular act, that he should run his own race and not PO's race. Now, I come to ask this question. The fine thoughts that we all have today, his 7 minutes interview with CNN, he lined up things he wants to do in that place and the things he could do. And I pray that he will still have more better interviews. Like you can see CNN will have on Sundays, they can run some things. People in diaspora, you guys can add up something and give him a full 1 hour or 45 minutes of interview with the CNN. so that he can be able to lay out those things the way it is on his mind. We know what it takes for you to have an interview for an hour at CNN. We can go for that and get that. But the whole thing coming back home, if we are saying only Peter Obi, I don't think Peter Obi alone can be able to do this. Even when 200 million Nigerians, let's say they can all vote, 200 million Nigerians, and vote for Peter Obi alone, without Peter Obi having a senator, without Peter Obi having the majority of the Senate, without Peter Obi as a Labour Party flag bearer not having the high number in the lower chamber, in the green chamber, I don't think that anything, without having the majority numbers in the governor's position, I don't think that it will be okay for Peter Obi to be able to change 1/4 of anything that he has been promising to Nigerians without having these people with him. So my advice today is this: when the campaign starts, I think the presidential is next month, the 26th or thereabout of next month, he can be able to say, I endorse this particular person, I endorse this particular person, and let those people he said he is endorsing are people that still have the same pedigree with him, people who have not soiled their hands with these same people now that one of our speaker in the day said they are running an extractive government. People who has not run this extractive government with these people now that we are telling that they are no more good. Most of them are bank managers who has helped in looting the economy of the state. Now they want to become governor. But they were the same people that looted the economy with the previous government. Most of them are contractors who they will say that this road is 100 kilometer road, while the road is not even up to 10 kilometers. And at the end of the day, money will be transferred into the account. At the end of the day, they are coming out. So when those kind of people come out now and say, I'm running on the platform of Labour Party, then what do you expect when this same Peter Obi now go and campaign for such people? So my advice today, please, to the diasporans who are obedient, is we still have to run these things back home to know who and who is coming back to that state, to that federal constituency, to that senatorial constituency, to run under that platform of the Labour Party in order to help our principal achieve his mandate, and also satisfy us who are in diaspora to say that we can come back home tomorrow and call that home our home, Nigeria.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this. I mean, I was actually on the news this afternoon on this particular topic you're talking about. I have this update, and I'm going to talk about it because I can give the panelists a little bit of background of what you were talking about. Is the Abia State governorship aspirants. There was a rally yesterday, and that Nigeria and Abia people were saying that they are not doing the rally for the Abia State governorship aspirant for Labour Party, because they are actually doing the rally for Peter Obi, and that was why they came out. And what happened was that the man, because I was there when he was trying to raise the fund, and the man was insisting that all the fund for the rally should be paid into his account, and then he would disperse the money. and people are saying no, it should be paid to the supporters group account, who will now do whatever they want to do with the fund. There was an issue with, I mean, Abia State Rally was cancelled 3 times before it finally held yesterday. The man was trying to, from what I got from the space I've been, trying to take control of what was happening with the supporters group. And we need to understand that the supporters group of Peter Obi needs to be independent. They are the masses, they are the people. So I think after the rally, the man posted something and he's saying that it is also, he is, if people are clamoring for Labour Party and Peter Obi, then they are also clamoring for him. And I think that got Peter Obi supporters angry, because what, and I'm going to give audience to my coordinators and my superior here, because I know that on our platform we have had people saying, no, I am for Peter Obi, but I am not a Labour Party member, and I am also not, going to be voting for the governor. And I get that, okay? And that was addressing Abia State. What happened? The Abia people said, no, what they did yesterday was in support of Peter Obi, but not in support of the man. And we need to understand the political atmosphere of Nigeria now. Nigerians are saying, what we want is Peter Obi, but some of the governors, some of the senators, we do not want them. So I'm going to give this platform, because I think the best person to answer this question should be Anele or Chooks, because they have had this conversation with members so many times. Let them put light into this before we round up. I know people are actually, it's been a long time. So can I give it to Chooks to talk about in your closing? I'm sorry, Chooks, can you please come in and talk about this?
Yes, thank you very much. And yes, the Abia situation was very peculiar, and it really is a reflection of the very changed atmosphere of politics in Nigeria. It really has upped one level, one notch further, where there is intelligence in people's voting, in people's thinking about how things will go. Previously, it used to be one party all the way, but now people have become fairly savvy in their expectations, in their assessment of who they want to be where or not. The PO movement cuts across people, cuts across parties. It was very interesting yesterday during the Abia rally. One of the contestants of PDP also had for Peter Obi, in their flag. It's very interesting, the dynamic of what the politics is now. So any candidate who cannot read into this will be making a mistake in their calculations of how things will go. So people want Peter to be across parties, across nationalities, but it does seem quite clearly that that would not translate downwards. However, I note what Mr. K's representative talked about, and it's something His Excellency has been doing very, taking quite some energy into trying to distance himself from, which is that him saying, and on several occasions in several fora, that he can govern without a majority in the National Assembly. Many people, including some of us obedience, feel a bit edgy about that because, as you know, a National Assembly can frustrate you right down to hell, literally. It's something that I also understand from His Excellency's perspective, drawing from his experience in Anambra State, where he was a governor in one party and the House of Assembly completely dominated by another party, and he walked through. I do hope, in my own mind, I do hope that His Excellency could begin to adjust his position on this, where he is saying, I can do as a rock with or without a majority in the National Assembly. That position, I appeal to him to begin to see the need to project into the national politics that those that would come along to support him in governance need to be given priority also. That is a thing I would need to contribute in that. Beyond all of that, I wish to say that the diasporans have become a very powerful group in the changing dynamics of the politics of our country, far beyond what has ever happened before. Diasporans have become a very, very tactical group. In fact, it is such that it is very important for diasporans to be part, hands-on in the emerging dispensation of Nigerian politics. Reasons being that there is a sense of psychological abuse that is meted out to Nigerians due to the fact that we have this rich and we have the poor, and the rich literally control the resources, and therefore everybody kowtows to them.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the diaspora, the mindset is different. It's like a liberated mindset of Nigerians who are not controlled by that same dynamic, and therefore are able to think more circumspectly, are able to articulate things differently and view things even far more differently because they live abroad. They see that things are working, how they are working. They are even part of the machinery of that difference in working, and see that it is possible to translate the same things in the country. So in our country, so the diasporans are very, very, very important in the emerging dispensation. My message to His Excellency is to realize that he is the front face of what we have never seen before, a crossroads in history where Nigerians of all shades are clamoring for a change in a way that it has never happened before. So he needs to take hold on that. He needs to walk through in his mind how best he would entrench this change going forward, because on his shoulders lays this weight of expectation, of hope, of desire from Nigerians for a change in our dynamics. So he to walk through his mind, how can I entrench the basis for change in my administration? Our group, the Nigerian Diaspora for Nigerians in Diaspora for Peter Obi, continues to welcome members from across the globe and work alongside other groups, groups as a coalition across the globe to enhance what our principal has, to enhance their capacity to run a campaign on facts that is focused, and to be prepared from day one with policies and steps and activities that would enhance their capability as a government that delivers for the country. The group is spread out. The group is put into different committees that enable itself make these positive impacts and allow for an expression from its members that is escalated upwards to both the Labour Party and POHQ. So we want to welcome everybody who wants to be part of this group, wherever you are. We also are working very hard at enabling structures for coalitions across different groups, not only in the diaspora, but on ground in Nigeria. So this is how we hope that we can support the move for this movement that is behind His Excellency Peter Obi going into 2023. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chooks. I have put the group link for everyone that watched this video to be able to join us. And I want to say thank you to all the panelists. I did not plan for it to get to 2 hours. I actually told myself 1 hour, 1 hour, 30 minutes were done. But we have had a fantastic and engaging and interesting conversation that I know that a lot of people will actually listen to and get 1 or 2 things from. And it's important that we keep having this discussion anytime there is a viral news, a narrative that we want to change or we want to focus. Because at the end of the day, we know that the Nigerian population base their facts on viral news. Nigerian use of social media actually is very high. I have my mom, actually as old as she is, 75, telling me about Peter Obi and what is going on and the CNN. And I was like, this is beyond what we can understand. So I'm going to say thank you to all the panelists. Please, if we call you again for us to discuss issues, especially as the campaign starts, there are some issues that we need to call you, within a day, and we want you to come up and let's talk about it. Let's change the discourse and the narrative. I pray that you will answer us and we can be able to address those issues. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, everyone that's been here. God bless you. I want to say, if you have any final words before we go, otherwise we'll just end. Anybody want to say something? Anela, you were saying something?
Yeah, I just have a question. The people that
I'm just going to say thank you again, blessing in this together.
All right, thank you. Yes, Honorable Okay.
Please carry on.
Yes, I said people that were typing something and were sending online. Is there no question? Is there no thing that you find enticing there to get back to us?
Because I do a lot of what I've done is I do a lot of live shows, and I know that some of them are just making comments. So the questions will come between the people that watch it later. The people that are on the live show, they will just make comments. Yeah. So if we monitor the platform and then the people will ask questions. I've tried to show everybody that make their own comments, but nobody asked any question. But we will get questions based on people that will do the after show. Thank you so much for joining.
We can also do as if INEC can do exactly what Kenya did. The diasporans can also vote.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, I saw that your question. Oh, yeah, okay, I saw that question. But that question have been addressed by Nigerian INEC. We know that Nigerian INEC have refused to allow us in diaspora to vote. We are hoping.
Can I also make a comment there, Blessing? At a meeting with His Excellency, the VP, Senator Yul Edochie, he committed to making this a campaign manifesto item for diaspora to be able to vote. You're going to hear more about this come 28th of yes.
Wow, that would be so good. To be frank with you, I'll be the proudest Nigeria if I can vote from diaspora. Thank you for giving us that information. I'm going to look for that news and I'll be talking about it on my own tomorrow on my live show. Thank you so much, everyone. It's late now. God bless you for coming. Bye-bye. God bless you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, Blessing.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
guys.
Blessing.
See you
Bye,
soon.
God.
Bye-bye.
Bye, engineer.
All right. God bless you.
I'll try to
God
be.
bless
I'll
you.
try.